Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, it's Regit and welcome to another episode of the Battle Cats Beginner's Guide. You've started, I presume, very recently on the Crazed Cats, and now you want to be able to beat the Crazed Tank. Well, worry not. This video that rolls out before you should hopefully help you in your quest to beat it. Not only that, but it should be as accessible as possibly can be, because I'll teach you how to beat it, no gacha. So there are a few things that are assumed within this video that go with what has been in the previous episodes of this series. First thing, that you have completed the Crazed Cat and upgraded it reasonably. I'm not sure if you need it level 20, but getting it to the max that you can is always very important. Another thing is that you have one basic true form. If you have more than that, that's fabulous. But a razor really is a meat shield that you need at level 20 plus 10 or above. So the Crazed Tank lies inside a level called Absolute Defense, and it's another insane difficulty stage. And in both these Crazed stages and then the Manic stages, which are more difficult forms of these, which sort of mirror them, the form you get of the cat and of the tank are roughly similarly structured levels. One big huge boss with a lot of health, accompanied by some other things, and you need to sort of build up some kind of stack to the best of your ability to kill it. So, to be able to beat the Crazed Tank, this is the lineup that I've put together, or at least the lineup that I did put together in a stream where I tried it and managed to beat it, so it could be subject to change. But the first row, probably not, unless you've got better alternatives. So, a Razor, definitely. Macho Cat, definitely. Or, of course, Mohawk, if you got the true form. Samba Cat, which hopefully you've bought to be able to do Chapter 3 Moon, especially if you're following along with this series. Brave Cat. Now, this is where if you have an alternative to that, that would be amazing. If you have something like Soran Cat, you have something like Cat Burger, those cheaper meat shields will do a lot better a job of keeping your spending on the meat shields down. But unfortunately, I have nothing like that. And even if I did have something like that, I'm trying to keep this as accessible as possible. You're all going to have Brave Cat. So if you have nothing of the 75-cent and 150-cent variety, Brave Cat's still useful to have because it is a meat shield. And at this point, you need as many as you can get, because whereas we used 4 for the Crazed Cat, now we've got our Crazed Cat, we're going to use that as well to give ourselves 5 meat shields. That's probably what you want to be aiming for when you're doing the Crazed Tank. Also, I've got Dragon Cat along. That's because it's got a lot of range. It can stick behind stuff for at least a little while and do lots of damage to things like douches and mainly douches. Now, here's the big if here. The Valkyrie Cat. Now, I said about this in the Crazed Cat guide. If you're going to do this level with the CPU, which I fully recommend, don't bring Valkyrie. And I'll show you why, because it made the run that we did very difficult indeed. But if you're going to do it manually, spawning 5 meat shields every few seconds for probably about 20 minutes, good on you. You can probably bring Valkyrie and use that to your benefit. Then, of course, Bahamut, your big damage dealer, you definitely need one of those. No gacha-wise, Bahamut, absolutely necessary. And then, we've got 2 slots to fill in. If you got even more meat shields, probably bring another one. It's only going to help. And if you got some kind of long-range unit, like a Hacker Cat, an Uber with decent range that can outrange the Crazed Tank, bring that. Always going to really help. But obviously, we have nothing of this sort, and we're being as accessible as we possibly can. So it's advisable to bring into the level a Sniper the Cat. The CPU is a strategy that I use, I'd advise that as well. The Sniper Cat probably definitely useful because you need to keep knocking the Crazed Tank back. Speed up, especially when you bring in a CPU, is useful because ultimately the level takes ages, but then you might end up turning the speed up off as things get a little bit hairy and scary. At least that's what I did. At the start of the level, you got a few squishies, your peons, and then some gories. Make sure you're meat shielding with your erasers for those because they can be quite strong. Not that strong, but you just need to be wary of them. And when you've got a little bit of meat shielding, save up for Bahamut, get that, and that should be able to take the gories out. Upgrading your worker cat at the same time so you can make use of the monies you've got from the gory's death to then upgrade your worker cat to higher levels, possibly even max level, by which time you get to the Owlbrows, and if you haven't got it to max level, when you kill them in the same way, meat shielding in front, Bahamut in behind them, you get a huge amount of monies from Owlbrows. So you kill them, you're fine. And then at that point, you'll want to just be spamming meat shields as much as you can. There'll be douches as well. If you have Valkyrie, this would be a good time to bring that out as well, to just do some stab damage to the douches. Dragon as well, because the douches, they do do a lot of damage to you, and if they get inside Bahamut's little shadowy hitbox and hit it, it's going to knock it back and reduce your chances of doing very well. So the douche is not to be messed with, even though the level hasn't really properly started yet. At that sort of point, once you've defeated the douches, and you probably have plenty of monies from that, that would be your time to turn the CPU on. That will just spam everything when it can. And then when you hit the base, the Crazed tank will appear, accompanied by some eyebrows, douches, all of that stuff, which you should be able to deal with Bahamut. Hopefully at that point you got 2 Bahamuts, but you might not. You might have a Bahamut in your own unit. You might have 1 Bahamut. You're still probably fine if you got a lot of meat shielding, because you'll be able to kill the stuff around Crazed tank. And when Crazed tank's by itself, it's not really that formidable, to be fair, as long as you got meat shielding with you. And then after that, really, it's just a game of put your CPU on and monitor what's going on. If you brought Valkyrie, what will happen is when Valkyrie comes off recharge time, the CPU will ignore all your meat shields and tend to just save up for Valkyrie, which means that your entire run could be ruined by you not having meat shields and your important units dying. So always keep a lookout for that, and if you bring a CPU, probably just don't bring a Valkyrie would be the best thing to do. Your Bahamuts, just like in the Crazed cat, are going to keep dying as things get inside its range by going past a few meat shields. But with dragons and all the meat shielding you've got, you should be able to hold out the Crazed tank and everything else until you can get another Bahamut. If one dies or 2 die and there's none on the field. And this is a long-winded level. It's gonna take a long time, but in some ways it's quite a lot safer than the Crazed cat. Probably because you got the Crazed cat with you. Nice fast cat you can respond to things quickly with. It's just a waiting game after that. Quite a long waiting game. The Crazed tank has an incredible amount of health, but eventually, if things all go to plan, you should be able to destroy it. Even if Ms. sign comes out, little only it says too slow, try harder next time. Ignore it. Don't be bothered. On our stream one, we were very close to dying, but we luckily managed to get a Bahamut out, and just before we were going to die, we killed the Crazed tank and managed to move towards the base. And then you will have beaten it, and then you can go to the base. If you have your own units that could help with this, might be a little bit easier for you. But at the bare minimum, no gacha, this is probably an easier stage than the Crazed cat itself. But the Crazed cat was something that we needed to do first in order to get enough meat shielding. When you've beaten and destroyed the base, you'll get yourself the Crazed tank cat, same place as the Crazed cat, super rare menu on the right hand side, upgrade that, that will form a meat shield, but unfortunately I can't say here where next you'd go with the Crazed cats, because here's the thing, the logical order people generally go in would be cat, tank, fish. But the problem with fish is there's a certain metal enemy in there. I don't know if we've done metal enemies, but essentially, if we haven't, metal enemy, all hits you do to it do 1 damage, regardless of what unit it is and how much damage it usually does, unless it's a critical hit. Now, the only critical hitter we have is Monaco, which is disastrous for critical hits and won't be enough to beat the fish. So, if you have a critical hitter, this part's going to be a lot easier for you, but in a no gacha sense, it's actually a bit of a nightmare to do. So, I probably welcome a period of consultation on that from anybody well versed in this as to where to go no gacha wise. Once you have your gacha, it's fairly fine to do, but from a tutorial point of view, it's very difficult, so you'll probably have to bear with us on that one. But that probably does it. That's like the Crazed tank. Not that bad, all in all, really. Much worse is to come, I'll put it that way. Anyway, that'll do. I hope this tutorial has helped you. Remember that this stage is in fact not a no continue stage, so if all your Bahamuts die and it looks like your Crazed tank's about to kill your base, you can force close and try again without wasting any more of your energy or your items. I would recommend doing that, otherwise you're just going to eat through them if you have failed or unlucky runs. Keep trying, keep having a go at it, and if you have any questions, make sure to ask me. Hopefully I can aid you. If you ask about a cat unit, hopefully I can tell you if that unit will be useful in the level. But that's about it, I'd say. I hope this tutorial helps you, and of course, I hope you enjoyed. A Bahamut, just Bahamut. Kill him. Bam. That was actually quite close. Quite uncomfortably close. Those people were right. I thought I had a plenty long enough recharge time not to worry about it, but no. Valkyrie has scumbagged this entire strategy over and over again and is of, like, no use when she does very briefly stay alive, she doesn't do any damage to anything. And spam cats, you idiot. CPU, please let this be over. I mean, I know I could speed it up, but it's too transfixing to speed it up. And also, the CPU, the Valkyrie, whoever's screwing it up, right, keeps screwing it up. Maybe it's a combination of, like, everything screwing it up.